What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So, this is going to be part two of that video where I talked about the rich white Epstein culture. So, anytime that you have the white Epstein culture, every time it gets caught up and gets exposed for its own debauchery and its own filth, it always uses its apparatus of the media or its apparatus of the military to cause a large distraction from itself. Because obviously, there have been so many people hyper focused on just the evil that has been going on with all these demons that are involved with Jeffrey Epstein and his sick, twisted, demented human trafficking island that he had going on. There were so many people involved. Like I said before, people that worked in government, people that worked in corporations, people that worked in big tech, people that worked in Hollywood, people that worked in the media, all people that you could think of that were involved in a quote unquote high place or who had some wealth were all involved in these demonic activities with this disgusting scumbag here. Now that all of that is getting exposed, these same demons have to find a way to distract the people from it and, to give the people something else to worry about so people don't start thinking about how their lives are being controlled and destroyed by these monsters here, by these predators. So, of course, they do what they always do, they start a war. And what we have right now is the waging war with the country of Iran, which used to be Persia. I'm talking about with no real buildup, with no real making excuses this time. Unlike the Iraq war, these devils right here didn't even try to explain to the American public why we need to go to war with Iran. They just did it, right? They just got some weapons over there and, got together with their Zionist buddies over in Israel and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and drop some bombs on Iran. And that's exactly what happened. With no hesitation, no real thought process, we went ahead and blew up their leaders and his family and blew up people in businesses, people or children in their schools over there, just dropping bombs wherever. I'm sure the president and the president's wife of Venezuela probably felt really, happy that, well, at least all we did was get kidnapped. They didn't drop a bomb on us while we were having like morning breakfast, which is what happened to the leader, the quote unquote supreme leader over in Iran. And of course, the people always like to play, the Zionists always like to put out the propaganda that, we're freeing the people of Iran. That's what we always hear anytime the Zionist or America likes to wage war on people, is we're freeing them. We heard the same thing. If you're old enough, you know that, or you studied, you should know that we were supposedly freeing the people of South Vietnam from the communists, right? They said that, the people of Vietnam they wanted to be free from communism. We had to go over there and help them be free, right? And we freed them by putting soldiers on the ground, helicopters, spraying chemicals, and dropping bombs on them too. Same thing with the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, because it was, the evil Muslim terrorists were over there. Not to mention that we actually helped these people get into power in the first place. Like, forget about that. Don't pay attention to, like that third Rambo movie where we were actually helping the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, and don't pay attention to the fact that we gave weapons to and supported Saddam Hussein back in the 80s in order so he can fight the Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran. Don't get too caught up in that. All right. We were helping them, and then they became bad, and we had to bomb them. And the only way to save the people of this country was to drop bombs on them. And that's what we're doing now with Iran. The only way to save these people, the only way to free them from the evil old Islamic fundamentalist state is to drop bombs on them. And of course, you'll have obviously you're gonna have proxies or people get on social media who claim that they're Iranian or that they're Persian, and they'll be talking about how they're happy and how America is saving them. Of course, none of these people actually live there. Of course, there'll always be people that are living in the United States and they're praising the United States for dropping bombs on their home country. That's typical. And a lot of these people you can't really verify who they are or where they're from, but they'll always have people like that show up and talk about how they're just grateful that someone is dropping bombs on their home country to save their home country and make it free. Ridiculousness. It's all ridiculousness, and like I said, it's all a show, but a very dangerous show, right? This is like, it is political theater. It is almost like a parody, but it's one that is played for real because real lives are being lost in this situation. And what's even more crazy is the situation is so ridiculous that we don't know. There are people that are shooting at Americans and taking away American lives, and we don't know what's going on. Like as they always say, the fog of war, a lot of things can happen. And we've had, American jets and stuff shot down by military from some of the other countries in that area. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Kuwait that actually shot down those American pilots. And the, the pilots themselves survived, but those warplanes that got shot down, that cost the American taxpayer millions of dollars. A couple of $100 million is spent because those planes were shot down. So think about this. I guess it's getting close to like the end of tax season, right? You just gave like a whole bunch of your paycheck to, the government, and the government funneled that money to the military. So your labor and your what could be wealth used for your own family was taken away from you and was given to the military for them to waste in this way, because this war is not something that needed to happen. But they've convinced, or they're trying their best to convince the American public that this is the way that things need to be. And of course, you got weirdos and scumbags like Pete Hegseth in there acting like he is a modern day crusader, and that we need to, for God's sake, need to go over to the Middle East and bomb as many people as possible, right? So it's disgusting. But once again, this is all one massive distraction, because once again, we were digging more and more into the lives and the private doings of these demonic white Epstein culture folks. And now most of the media attention has been taken away from that and has been moved on to this quote unquote war with Iran. That's the thing too. They don't want to call it that because Congress never voted for an actual war with Iran, even though they would probably still would have voted for it. And that's something else I want to explain to you folks, because I saw a lot of people making the debate as to whether if Kamala Harris was in the White House, they were saying like, well, we wouldn't be at war with Iran right now. This is something that is totally the decision of Donald Trump. And I'm here to tell you that based on what I know about the white Epstein culture, whoever was in that White House was going to be bombing Iran in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And this is something that we all need to understand when I have people tell me stuff like, well, if this politician was there, stuff like this wouldn't happen. I always tell people that shows me that they don't have a true understanding of who controls our system. Okay? When it comes to bombing a country, the president really doesn't have any control over that. And I mean that literally. Like he's the salesman. He's the one that's going to basically put that out there and smooth it over with the public, quote unquote. And he might even be the one that takes the heat for it if it goes bad, right? But that's the way it's set up. He's not the one that makes that call. The corporations and the military make that call. The people who really control our military are the ones that make the call for whether we go to war with somebody, yes, yay or nay, right? Sad to say, the Israeli intelligence has more control over what our military does than the president in the United States does. And that's because it's all under one cabal of these sick, rich, white Epstein demons who are the real ones who are in control of what really goes on here in this country. So when they start trying to knock on your door and trying to get your sons or your daughters to go to war, and they want to draft your kids and send them over there, you need to understand that the rich white Epstein culture, their kids are not going anywhere. They're going to send the regular citizens over somewhere else to fight and die so that they can basically take wealth from somebody else and take resources from somebody else and consolidate it under them. That's what it's all about. Once again, it comes back to that same thing, what I just told you in the last video. All this conflict in Iran is for is not only distraction, but to go ahead and take wealth and take resources from somebody else and consolidate it under them. That's all that's going to happen. And that's all that truly is the true goal of all these demons out here. Once again, like I said, they are predatory by nature. And if they have to throw your children away, hell, if the rich white Epstein culture was already cool with molesting your children, right? They were already cool with sex trafficking your children on an island or in the halls of government or wherever. They were cool with that. Why wouldn't they send them to an armed conflict where your child can get maimed or killed, or at the very least, the most you can hope for is that your child comes back with mental issues, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Because the human mind, the normal human mind is not meant to be under that amount of stress where someone is shooting at them or throwing bombs at them or, seeing their friends die in front of them. The normal human mind is not meant for that. But you see, the sick, white, rich Epstein culture, they love stuff like that. They love the bloodlust. They love seeing people die for them. So, of course, they have no problem, wanting to send your children off to die in these conflicts. So that's something more for you to think about, when it comes to these types of devils and their culture. They'll cause wars and they will destroy you in the process in order for them to get what they want. Your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness be damned. They don't care about that. Those are pretty words that they use to take advantage of you and to use you as a bulletproof vest or use you as cannon fodder or to just throw you in the meat grinder so that they can get what they want. You folks let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I'd love to hear your opinions on these last two videos. Whatever you want to add, go ahead and feel free to do so. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back on my foot on the devil's back.